Hey everyone, Jen from Modified Macros here. Today I'm going to talk to you about keto and thyroid. Today we are going to talk about the ketogenic diet and thyroid. So first and foremost, I just want to get it out of the way. I am in no way, shape, or form a medical professional. I am simply going to tell you my story, what I know from my thyroid issues, my health issues, and I'm going to give you the advice that was given to me and the advice that I followed to get my results. In no way should you use this as medical advice. Always consult with your doctor. Of course, go to a medical professional. Please do not use me in place of one. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, I want to talk to you guys about my journey with the ketogenic diet and my thyroid. I have a compromised thyroid. I have Hashimoto's. It's an autoimmune disorder in which essentially my immune system attacks my thyroid like it's a foreign body, and it has caused me to have a compromised thyroid. I was diagnosed with this in 2014, and I've been living with it ever since. Since starting the ketogenic diet, I have had leaps and bounds of successes with both my physical health, my thyroid health, mental, spiritual, emotional, and I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit more about the thyroid portion. So first and foremost, I think it's important to talk about what a thyroid is and what a thyroid does. So your thyroid is a gland. It sits about here in the body, and it's a super important gland for your body, you guys. It produces hormones that regulates your body's metabolic rate, as well as heart and digestive function, muscle control, brain development, mood, and bone maintenance. So your thyroid's working for you guys, all day, every day. Hypothyroidism is what we're going to talk about today, not hyper, which is the opposite. That's where your body produces too many of these hormones. I've never had any experience with that, so I'm not going to speak to it. I'm going to speak about hypothyroidism, which is caused through some autoimmune disorders like mine, or a thyroid that is compromised or not working at all. So let's go over some of the symptoms that you might experience for hypothyroidism to see if we can pinpoint if you've ever had any of these. So decreased libido, goiter, cold feet and hands, you guys. This one I used to think was my arthritis all the time. The tips of my fingers and my toes would get frigid cold all the time. Fatigue, it's usually a chronic fatigue. Fluid retention, elevated liver enzymes, you'd need blood work to see that. Depression and anxiety, you guys, is a big one. That is something that can be a thyroid issue, so don't ignore that. Poor memory, brittle nails, dry skin and hair, sensitivity to cold weather. Again, I thought that was my arthritis. I would get really sore and achy in the cold, and I thought that that was just my arthritis kicking in, and it turns out a lot of it was thyroid related. You can have headaches and muscle aches, weight gain. That's usually the one when we start paying attention to. When that starts kicking in, that's when we're like, okay, something's really wrong. Tingling in the hands and feet, a slow heart rate, and constipation. So those are some hypothyroid symptoms. These are important to pay attention to because even if you have a functioning thyroid, some people on the ketogenic diet don't respond really well to super low carb. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So if you ever feel any of these symptoms during your ketogenic diet, I'm going to tell you how to fix them, or at least how I fix them. So let's talk about what happens when you have hypothyroidism. Basically, the T3 and T4 hormones, that is what the shorthand for them are. Your thyroid stops producing them correctly, and there can be a number of reasons why this happens, but hypothyroidism is caused when those hormones are not being created correctly. The four major components of your thyroid health is your adrenal glands and your adrenal system, which helps feed your thyroid itself, your liver, which produces a lot of the enzymes and converts a lot of the enzymes, and gut health has all been connected to having a healthy, functioning thyroid. So those are your four main systems that you look at when you're looking at thyroid function. Why has the ketogenic diet been beat up a little bit for people who have hypothyroid? Mainly because you do need carbs, some carbs, for your adrenal system and for your thyroid to produce those hormones. Your thyroid directly uses carbohydrates to create those T3 and T4 hormones. So some people think that if you go super low carb, that means you're not getting any carbs at all. First, we count net carbs, so we're getting more actual total carbs during our day. And secondly, carbs are never the bad guy on keto, you guys. I think that's a total misnomer. Carbs aren't bad for us. We know that they're not when we're eating the right ones. So we are just choosing our sources and how much we allow into our body to keep us in that ketogenic state. There's no actual science or real medical data to prove that being super low carb will cause your thyroid to stop working. It's just something that the medical community is cautious with. That being said, let's talk about how keto can help, actually really help, if you do have a compromised thyroid. So one of the first things that the ketogenic diet does so well is it reduces inflammation. Mainly systemic inflammation, that's the inflammation in our bodies. For me, I have an autoimmune disorder. My systemic inflammation was crazy. It was all over the place. When that is reduced, you guys, systemic inflammation in the body is one of the first triggers that will cause your thyroid to stop producing hormones. And it could be coming from a whole host of things. It could be coming because you were sick. It could be coming because you have an autoimmune deficiency. It could be coming because of toxins, pesticides, something like that could cause it. There's a whole ton of reasons why you could have systemic inflammation. Another one being if you've been overweight for a specific period of time, not specific, if you've been overweight for a long period of time in your life, that will cause also systemic inflammation to arise in the body, which causes the thyroid to be affected, which causes you to stop having those hormones. Keto, one of the best things about keto is that it reduces systemic inflammation in the body, allowing the thyroid to produce better. It helps the thyroid out. The next one is sugar balance. We don't eat sugar. Not really. On the ketogenic diet, you get some from your fruits and vegetables, but for the most part, we are mostly little to no sugar. That allows the body to have balance with sugar, and that affects the thyroid in a positive way as well. It helps the thyroid, helps you to heal. It's fantastic. And that's just another benefit that comes along with the ketogenic diet. Some of the things you have to worry about with the ketogenic diet where people do get worried is caloric reduction. If you reduce your calories on any type of diet too quickly, too fast, too much, it affects your thyroid. Your thyroid will go, whoa, whoa, and it'll stop functioning correctly. A lot of times it can kick back up, but if you already have a compromised thyroid, keep that in mind. Don't drop to 1,500 calories on keto. Use a good keto calculator. I like ruledme.com. Use a good keto calculator and get your macros and stick to those calories. If you find yourself having some of these hypothyroid symptoms, make sure you didn't go from eating 2,500 calories a day to 1,000. That's too much for your body to adjust to. Make sure that you're going down in about 500 increments of 500 calories to help your body adjust if you have a compromised thyroid. Another thing that can cause your thyroid to stop working properly is the vast reduction in carbohydrates. Like I said, your body uses carbohydrates, your thyroid specifically uses carbohydrates to make its hormones. So I need to tell you guys that 20 net carbs is for a therapeutic ketogenic diet. So if I had a cognitive disorder and I needed to make sure that my brain was only getting a certain amount of net carbs, 20 is it. That's my limit. But nutritional ketosis, being on a nutritional ketogenic diet for weight loss and for health, that's a bunch higher. So when I went in and met with my nutritionist, my endocrinologist, and my primary care doctor, they started me at 50 net carbs. And that was the safe space. It's okay for you to start at that and then start lowering. But if you feel any of those symptoms that I've said in the beginning, any of those hypothyroid symptoms, depression, fatigue, constant headaches. Make sure it's not keto flu, you guys, but if you've been on it for 2 or more weeks and you're still getting constant headaches, muscle weakness, tingling, any of those, okay, up your carbs. A lot of these keto groups that I see, they just throw electrolytes on everything. It's like the Windex in My Big Fat Greek Wedding, where they're like, it fixes everything. Electrolytes can do wonders, but these are specific symptoms that you need to pay attention to. And even people who have a healthy thyroid, when they go onto the ketogenic diet, can experience this. So upping your carbs to 50 net and then lowering them down systematically to find out where your thyroid's more comfortable, where your body functions, that is a smart way to go. That is what's going to be healthier for you. We have to remember we're not all created the same. Some people with compromised thyroids can go super low carb, 10 net carbs, 5 net carbs a day. I can't. I'm between 26 and 30. That's my sweet spot. That's where I stay daily. Some days I am lower and some days I'm a little bit higher, but that's what I go for every single day. That's where I found that I stopped feeling those symptoms of hypothyroidism at that level. So play around with it and take it seriously. Don't just do what people in groups tell you. Don't say when they say, no, you have to be at 20 net carbs. That is not true at all. Everybody's different. So see where you fall and see where you can go for nutritional ketosis where you aren't feeling any of those symptoms. Another thing that I do so that I don't feel those symptoms is I add a refeed day. I am on cyclical keto. If you have a compromised thyroid, most likely this is where you're headed. I knew from the second I started my journey that I was going to be put on cyclical keto. I was given a 3-month time frame. I think it was like 2.5 months that I made it when I was fat adapted. We knew I was fat adapted. I was making endogenous ketones. I was in nutritional ketosis. Things were going well. Weight loss was happening. My blood panels were coming back good. That's when we decided now we're going to add a refeed day. One day, and one day only, a week. Mine's usually Saturday. I have a refeed day. I eat between 50 and 100 net carbs. I'm not eating donuts. I'm not eating French bread. I'm not eating croissant. I'm eating sweet potatoes. Sometimes once in a while quinoa. I'm eating, peaches and strawberries. Some of those fringe foods that are a little bit higher carb that normally I wouldn't be able to have. One of my favorite things to eat that day is like cauliflower or broccoli crust pizza because now I can have it. I keep my other macros at the same. I only increase those carbohydrates, 50 and 100. That's where I go in between, somewhere in that range. That's where I keep it at. That allows my thyroid time to recharge. It allows my adrenals time to recharge and regenerate. If you have a compromised thyroid, you guys, do not be afraid of this. Don't let people talk you out of it. Pay attention to your body. Pay attention to your symptoms. Pay attention to how you feel. You may notice, which is what happened to me, that if you're taking something to artificially stimulate thyroid hormones like Armour or Synthroid or some of the more homeopathic remedies, that you start to feel hyperthyroid, right? Where you're producing too much hormones. You kind of get like sweaty, anxious. I was like getting really jittery. That's when we knew we needed to reduce my medication until eventually I was able to come off of it completely. I am not on Synthroid. I have not been on Synthroid for 9 months. So I was also on an antidepressant. I was on 100 milligrams of Zoloft. Since starting the ketogenic diet, I have come off of that. I do have 25 milligrams, which is what I was reduced down to before I went to every other day. If I'm having a bad day, I am not afraid to take my medicine. That does not mean I'm failing. It doesn't mean I'm going backwards. It means that my brain chemistry is a little off. As we grow older, as our hormones change, we need to pay attention. If you are somebody who is older and you are going through a hormonal change, pay attention to these symptoms. A lot of people are going to tell you, like I said, just add electrolytes, add magnesium, add whatever. Pay attention. Your nutrients are important, you guys. You do need certain nutrients for your thyroid: iron, iodine, zinc, vitamin E, B2, B3, B6, C, and D. Those are like the main ones. When you have keto and you drastically reduce what you're eating, especially those first 2 weeks, if you were like me, like I had a nutritionist and a doctor telling me what to eat and I was still stumbling around. Get a good multivite. Get a good multivitamin. I know people say you should be able to get everything you need from your food, and eventually you might be able to work it out. Why not cover your bases? Make sure you're getting everything you need so you're not throwing your hormones off whack by not getting sufficient amounts of nutrients that your thyroid gravely depends on to work right. You have to remember that sometimes the people giving this advice, people that you're following, they don't have the same thing that you have. They don't have a compromised thyroid or a compromised immune system. So be your own advocate and have your own back, and don't be ashamed. Be completely unapologetic that this is your keto journey. This is your transformation story. Live it your way, and don't let anyone make you feel bad about it, because sometimes in those groups it can happen. So please listen to me. It's okay to modify this to make it make sense for your life. It's your journey, you guys. Own that. Another thing that can cause some thyroid issues, you guys, is stress. Stress ruins keto too, you guys. Cortisol is a nasty thing. So I'd love to tell you, don't be stressed out if you're like me, a hot mess mom with a 2-year-old toddler tornado, and you work full time and you also have a million other things going on. It's like impossible to be like, never be stressed ever. But work on some techniques. I, for one, meditate in the morning. I used to think it was crazy kookiness. Actually has helped a lot. I also keep a gratitude journal. I start my day by writing the 5 things I'm most grateful for. Just anything that I'm feeling that day that I'm grateful for. Today I'm grateful for heat. I'm grateful for living in a home, having a roof over my head, just things like that. And it starts your day off on that note of gratitude. It helps to reduce stress. Take time for yourself, do some self-care. Cortisol will hinder both your keto journey and your thyroid health. So be really cognizant of that. Autoimmune diseases will also, that's where mine comes in, but celiac, MS, any of the fun autoimmunes that you might have, that can also hinder thyroid health. If your numbers come back normal a lot, but you are experiencing those symptoms, that's what happened to me. Treat it like it could be thyroid and try upping the carbs. Let's play it safe and see how you feel. That is always my best advice to people. I've had so many success stories, you guys, with people who had no idea why keto wasn't working right for them. We upped their carbs, we listened to their bodies, and all of a sudden everything clicked together and it started working. I want you guys to feel this good. I want everyone to know how amazing this can be, and I don't want you to get discouraged on keto because people are telling you it's not good for thyroid health. There's nothing that proves that it's not. You just have to modify, you guys, to make this work for you and make it best for you. I do that by making my carbs higher. I do that by carb cycling. So that is just my really short video, you guys. I like to keep my videos shorter so you're not with me forever, on some thyroid health. If you guys have questions about thyroid, I have probably tons more information I can give. Drop them in the comments. Always feel free to visit me at my Facebook group. I answer my messages daily. I try to get back to you within 2 hours. So I'm most available there. You can also email me any questions, and I'm always an open book to share my story with you guys. Thanks for tuning in for this one, and drop comments below. Let me know how you guys are doing on your keto journey. I love hearing success stories.